I've talked about this a lot. The potential for the province of Alberta to separate from the rest of Canada. It's another wrench in the ever-changing global order. Something that seemed impossible 18 months ago. Absolutely. If you asked me 18 months ago, could Alberta not be part of Canada? I would say literally 0% chance. I could never see a scenario where that could happen. Specifically, the province of Alberta becoming a sovereign nation appears to be picking up steam right now. They require roughly 180,000 signatures, I believe that's the number, to have an official referendum. They passed a bunch of laws last year to essentially make it easier for them to put these questions to the population about on many things. But it seems like they changed these laws specifically for this one thing. And it might be, a negotiating tactic, potentially, to negotiate with the rest of Canada, the federal government. Based on the early turnouts, the referendum, this seems like a foregone conclusion. I saw videos of, like rural areas where they'd be in, like hockey rinks, kind of like Legion, VAs, stuff like that, packed. You couldn't even get in. Standing room only, couldn't get in. And these people are there to basically sign up. Calgary, a city of one of the largest cities in Canada, liberal stronghold. They have the most retarded, as liberal mayors as you can get of these cities. They had an event 2 nights ago, I believe. Line stretched, it was 7 blocks. People were waiting. It wasn't that cold, thankfully, because it can get pretty cold in Calgary in January. It wasn't that cold. There were people waiting for hours to sign this petition or whatever it is to have this referendum. So look, I said this last year. I was like, I've said this many times, 2026, they're going to have a referendum in Alberta. Looks like it's happening. The only mistake that I was way off on is I thought it would be the rural areas that kind of got them all the signatures they required for this referendum. And the idea would be completely rejected by the 2 largest cities, Edmonton and Calgary. It's not the case. There's a lot of people in these large cities who are like, we want out of this fucking country. My guess, if I had to handicap it right now, I'd say the odds of Alberta leaving Canada are probably 25%, which is not nothing. Again, 18 months ago, this would have been single digits. So when you look at the rate of change here, the delta, if you will, it's pretty impressive. And another interesting point with this was that when Quebec tried to leave Canada in 1995, everybody in Canada was like, good for you. You should have this referendum. This is, you should make this decision. Alberta is like, we want to leave. Everybody's like, you can't do that. You're not allowed to. That was very much the response when Alberta tried to leave, because Alberta is kind of Canada's cash cow. It's where all the oil is. Which is funny because, with Quebec, they're like, yeah, go ahead. Go ahead. You owe it to yourselves to have this referendum. And now many people are like, you're not allowed to do this. We're not letting you leave, which is interesting. And this more ties in with all the shit going on in the world. On its own, you would be like, this is odd. This could be bad, certainly bad for the country of Canada. For sure. But when you factor in everything that's going on in the world right now, essentially what the U.S. is doing, but, other things, China, Russia, Greenland, Cuba, Venezuela, Mexico, Colombia, all these things, it's not looking great. Again, words I would have never imagined saying 18 months ago. Could this be the end of Canada as we know it? I hope not. I'm not going to lie. I'm like, with all the shit America's doing, I would like to have the option of, and I've said this before, but every time there is some scenario where America gets attacked by a nuke or a missile or something crazy, It's literally happens 1 mile from my house. Like, it doesn't happen in fucking Idaho. It happens in New York City, Manhattan, 1, maybe 2 miles from my house is where generally the worst things happen. So I would like the option. I guess I'll go to Israel, but that probably takes some time. But when you factor this all in, sadly, it does seem, again, you asked me 18 months ago, what are the odds of Canada being a sovereign nation for the rest of my life? I would have said 100%. Why would it not be? And it's no longer 100%. The world in 5 years may look absolutely unrecognizable to the one we had so recently. It's maybe I'm just being in my feelings here. Maybe I'm being a doomer. I don't know. That's just my read on it. I'm no expert on this. And anyway, I have made some predictions that have come true for the most part, but I think I'm okay at reading the tea leaves sometimes. But it's concerning. It is concerning. All right.